Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Kashira, how are you? Okay, Kashira is the one that sent me this video. And if I haven't gotten back to your email, please bear with me, y'all. I'm sick. I just got back home. I'm so happy to be home in my own space. It feels so good to be back home. Unfortunately, somehow with me being the caregiver and the babysitter when I was back home, I somehow got sick. So I'm drinking my elderberry tea and I have so much content that I want to talk about. I want to talk about Tracy Ellis Ross. Have you seen that? Ah, I live. That's what I want us to move towards. Okay. That's what I want us to collectively move towards as women. Have you seen it? It's everything. I loved it. It was like watching my dream be mirrored back to me. Girl, I don't know. I don't know if it's my niece. I don't know if it's the planetary shifts that are currently happening, but I do find it suspicious how whenever there's like major planetary shifts, I'm always dealing with throat issues that have to do with the chakra and or the throat chakra, and I'm always dealing with like sinus issues that has to do with like blockages and removing and releasing blockages. I don't know. I don't know. I just know I'm sick. So we're just gonna deal with that. But I'm here to give you this video, and I'm also trying to get back on track. So if you all did not know, I found out earlier this year that my mom had cancer. And I did not go home for Thanksgiving. I did not go home for Christmas. She didn't want to break the news to us during the holidays. And so I found out afterwards, after I didn't go home. And I was joking in my videos about, I'm like, my mom must really miss me. Like, she has never acted like this about me coming home. And I thought that maybe she was just making it a big deal because this was like the first year that I just chose not to go home. And then I found that out. So I went home. I took care of my mother and helped her through this healing process. I learned a lot through helping her through her healing process with breast cancer. And I got the news before I left that she is now cancer free. So I just feel like with that all working itself out, I can finally breathe again. I know the last few years for me have just been rough. And I know a lot of you have been like, what is going on with Yanni? Like, honestly, I've been going through shit, real life shit. Okay. I'm a regular person just like y'all. So I go through things. And this year has just been up and down, up and down, up and down, push and pull, push and pull. And I've kept showing up. Like, I'm gonna keep showing up. So I'm getting my life back on track again. This is probably like my sixth restart this year. And that's the thing about consistency. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna fall off, we're gonna get back up. We're gonna fall off, we're gonna get back up. Okay. We're gonna find our rhythm. That's why you have to get back up. Okay. So I'm gonna get back up for the sixth time this year. And I'm gonna keep pushing forward. So I went to the farmers market yesterday. I did my juicing. I'm drinking my tea. I'm taking my vitamins. We are getting our lives back on track. That's what we're doing. Okay. That's what I'm going to be doing. If you want to join me because I don't care if we got to start 20 times. I don't care if I have to restart 20 times. I'm going to restart 20 times. That's what we're going to do. So if this is speaking to you, do not give up on yourself because giving up on yourself is how you quit. Okay. It's not about restarting, it's about just stopping. Okay. So even if you fall off, you restart again. That's progress. Okay, we're making progress, whether you believe it or not. We are making progress. Thank you for all the prayers. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for all the well wishes, the healing energy. Thank you so much. Like, I really do appreciate that. I honestly did not know how to show up on social media and still be there for my mom. It was very hard, it was very difficult. And I'm always pouring into other people. And I had to pull back and pour into my mother, and she's doing so well. I just got done talking to her, and she's just feeling so much better. So I feel like I can breathe again. I just feel like I can breathe again. Like, oh my gosh. It's just been crazy. And yeah, it's just been crazy. That's all I gotta say. So some changes are going to be made to the platform. All right. I can't keep dealing with people that are tuning into my lives or tuning into my videos and they're watching maybe 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes because their cognitive range is very short because they're now addicted to short form content. And then they're taking things that I'm saying completely out of context. It's getting bad. And if you feel like your cognitive range has decreased, I highly recommend that you pick up a book. And I'm not being shady. I'm not. Um, like my father said, they gave his generation crack. They gave our generation social media. And it's up to you to be responsible when it comes to not following into these addictive patterns that are normalized. Okay. Because one thing about the United States government, if it comes down to capitalism, they will normalize addiction. They will, for profit. So it is up to you to be responsible and be disciplined so that you're not losing your cognitive range, because your cognitive range has everything to do with your comprehension skills. So in my video, when it comes to this lady, Briana, I said towards the end of my video that based off of his side of the story, she's unstable, she's crazy, she's all of these things. And I said, okay, all right, let's take into account. I'm going to take into account what you're saying based off of his side of the story. She's crazy. Well, why are you calling her, harassing her, begging and pleading for her to come back to you, to stay in your life? It makes no sense. So I said, if a woman is truly unstable, right, according to his side of the story, then why are you choosing to deal with someone like that? Where does the accountability come in for the men? Because making excuses for men who choose to deal with women that show signs that they are unstable will never make any sense to me. And then you find yourself in a situation where it looks bad because you put your hands on her in self-defense, and now it just looks bad. So that was my point. My point wasn't to label this woman unstable. It's just his side of the story. When you're not male centered, you can hear both sides of the story and still hold the man accountable. So my point was, if you're saying she's unstable, why are you choosing to deal with someone that is unstable? You're seeing signs that she's unstable. Why are you sleeping with someone that you're saying is unstable? And I literally said it had to have been for financial reasons. Did I not say that? So I'm just trying to understand, like, what is up with the comprehension skills on social media as of lately? It just seems like it's getting worse. And then I'm being called and labeled things that I'm not. And I'm just tired of that. Like, it's too much. I already got shit going on in my personal life. I don't need people creating scenarios in their mind that I never said, taking what I said completely out of context, creating a narrative that is super negative, and then I never said it. I never implied it. And then, like, projecting it in just this negative way. I'm just getting tired of that. So, if you're interested in becoming a member, I have two options. I have an option for Patreon members only. If you're already a Patreon member, it's literally $1.99. That is the cheapest I could do. If I could do 50 cents, I would have did 50 cents. It is literally to add on this benefit and this perk to what you're already paying for. That is it. If you're only wanting to be a member to the YouTube channel only, that one is $4.99 a month. But you will not have access to Patreon content. You will not have access to Discord and all the other stuff that I'm into outside of this particular platform. Okay. If you're subscribed to Patreon and you are paying $15 a month, you get access to everything. I don't care what it is. It's everything from any content that I put on my second YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, content that I put on my Patreon, my workshops that we're doing. By the way, I have another workshop this Friday under the Lion Gates portal 888. We are manifesting our breakthroughs. Okay. So if you're into that, that's going to be this Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So if you're subscribed to the second tier, which is $15, you already have access to that. Come join us. It's always a great time. I don't like to advertise this though, because we're dealing with energy on that platform. If you are against candle work, hoodoo practices, and root work, do not come. It's not for you. No shade, but it's just not. I don't have time to explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the reasons I'm doing it. Either you're on the wavelength or you're not. And I'm not offended if you're not, okay? Don't take it offensively. Some things are just not for you. And then if you're subscribed to the $7 tier, that tier is just any exclusive content. Okay. So this video, I don't know if I'm going to put this on Patreon or not, because I'm going to get into some things in this video that may be triggering. And one thing that I know about people that get triggered, they don't listen to what you actually said. So when it comes to my community, one thing I learned about my community, I don't have to over explain myself for people to get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to victim blame or anything like that. And sometimes people get triggered, and then that's how they take it, and that's it. That's how they see it. That's it. When it comes to my community, I don't have to over explain myself. So let's get into this situation with Briana Williams. Um, a lot of people are wanting to focus on the past when it comes to Briana, and I do have questions. I do, because this year with the wounded feminine reckoning, that's what I'm calling it, the wounded feminine reckoning. What I'm coming to the conclusion about is this year's theme has been, if a man were to do that, if it was a man, like that has been the narration, that has been the theme. If there was a thesis that we could write about this year when it comes to the feminine, the wounded feminine reckoning, it would be, if it was a man, would you still feel this way? Because there's a lot of that going on. I'm not a contradiction. I stand very firm and consistent in my integrity, because it's about integrity. So when I ask this question, understand this is coming from a place of integrity, compassion, and understanding, but integrity. Okay. So the common thing though is that a lot of women keep saying, oh, her past should not matter. Her past should not matter. And it's kind of throwing me off, because I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. If this was a man, his past would matter. If this was a man, we would be all up in his shit. We would be all up in his shit. We would be deep into his past. And so one thing that's like was throwing me, right, with the alarms that was going off with the story, because some of the stuff does not make sense to me, was he kept saying, she hits me, right? And she has a history of hitting people. Now, this is why I repeatedly said throughout my commentary, I said, in this isolated incident, she is a victim. She got hit in the eye. Okay. This isolated incident, she is battered. Her eye is bruised. She is a victim. Okay. In this isolated incident. Now, when it comes to her relationship, she is not innocent. And I believe, okay, this is my opinion based off of hearing everyone's point of view, including the leasing office or leasing management, that I believe that they were in this toxic relationship where they would hit each other. Okay. That does not take away from the fact that she is a victim in this isolated incident where he punched her in the eye, allegedly. I believe he did. Okay. However, when it comes to the relationship, I believe they used to put their hand, I think they put their hands on each other. Now, why would I think that? Well, when you listen to the sisters, right, they're saying that they witnessed her be the aggressor. And then when you look into her past, she was the aggressor. She put her hands on her son's child's father. Okay. And then she does not have custody of her oldest daughter. I don't know why. I don't. I have no idea. So this is what I'm asking is, if the roles were reversed and this was a man, you would care about his past. You would care. You would care. You would be looking all up into it. And then, especially if a situation happened and a woman is repeatedly saying, she hit me, or he hit me, he hit me, he hit me. So he's saying repeatedly over and over and over again that she has hit him at times. Okay. It does not take away from the fact that she is a victim in this isolated incident that took place when she came back from her trip. Okay. Two things can be true. And this is the thing that's been irritating me with social media. I am wanting to move into a place of being nuanced with my takes. I don't want to be one sided anymore. I have healed, I have worked on myself, and I have bettered myself to the point where I can see all point of views and still try to get down to the truth and still try to carry out integrity with my opinion. So I do believe he put his hands on her. I believe that things escalated so far that she ended up with a bruised eye. That's what I think happened. I believe, according to the lease management, that there have been times where they have gotten into it publicly, where they fight each other publicly, and then maybe the next day or 3 days later, she's requesting him to be sent up at the front desk to bypass security. So now you have the leasing management or the people down at the front desk that are caught in between this couple that have a toxic relationship where they get into it, then they're back. It gives this cycle where you break up to make up, break up to make up. So maybe the people in the leasing office wasn't really taking her as serious, but were forced to this time because there was physical um bruises on her body, like her eye, cuts and everything like that. And so and a lot of people kept asking, like, why is nobody calling the police? Why is nobody calling the police? And so I think that, and if you understand the cycle of abuse, most times when it comes to women in DV relationships, it takes them like up to 6 times to really leave the abuser or to leave the abusive relationship. But another thing that I'm noticing too is some women don't want to acknowledge that she could be an abuser as well, that they could both be abusive. But people don't want to acknowledge that because I do. I think it's weird that this woman is 31 in a relationship with a 22-year-old. And again, I'm gonna say it again to the wounded feminines today. Okay, the reckoning that is currently happening. If it was a man, okay, if it was a man, you would be saying, oh, he's using her and it's financial control. That's what you would be saying. So, to keep my integrity and to be consistent, I decided in my commentary to narrow it down and focus on what was most important, which was the incident that took place that led to this whole discourse on social media. Because if I were to get into all that other stuff, I would just be a huge ass contradiction. I would. But I had to acknowledge it though. Like I had to acknowledge those things. If I'm going to acknowledge it here when it's a man, then I have to acknowledge it here when it's a woman. I do. Because it is the behavior. It's not about the gender. It's truly about the behavior. And if you're truly against something, then you're against it. You're not only against it when it's a woman. You're against it because you're against what it actually causes hurt and harm to others. That's what this is about. So, um, and then the whole another thing that I want to talk about too, the whole situation is just very strange to me. She seems like she comes from um a well family, like a good family. And what I mean by a good family, I mean from the point of view of she comes from a family that seems to be financially well off. She went to Harvard. Her sisters don't have jobs, but they don't have jobs because they come from a good family, a well-off family financially, okay? Not saying that they don't have a family feud situation that goes on between them, but I'm saying like from the outside looking in, it looks like they have a good background, you know? And it makes me understand the mother more, okay? Where the mother, I'm not sure what she does for a living. I'm not even sure what her husband does for a living. But I could see how they're kind of upset at their daughter for making everything public. And then also, her mother could have been trying to protect her because people could dig into her past and bring up things from her past. But no one wants to look at it like that. Everyone wants to look at it as like, oh, your mother is not supporting you. I don't think her mother isn't supporting her when it comes to what happened. I think her mother isn't supporting her choice in sharing this online. That's it. Now, when it comes to her sisters, there could be some jealousy. I'm not gonna dismiss that. I have to, because at this point I have to entertain that as well because, well, I don't know these people. We don't know her, and this is what blows me, right? Because discernment is so real for me. If someone is coming out on social media that has been lying on social media, pretending to portray a lifestyle that they don't live, pretending to be in this perfect relationship. Why are you believing every little thing that they're saying? That is alarming to me. You should consider what other people have to say. You should. That's discernment. It's not saying that you're just going to side with them. It just means that you're willing to hear them out because, well, this person did come on social media and lie and fake this and fake that. And now she's wanting to be transparent. Okay. So that means you should listen to all sides, not to take a side, but listen to all sides. And to be honest, when it comes down to it, I chose to focus on her eye and the incident that happened with her eye, period. Okay. Because that's how we all entered the chat. When I saw the video go viral on my For You page, I saw her eye and I immediately wanted to know what happened. Who did that? And that's it. That's it. So we'll see. I couldn't put all of these points in my commentary because the video was already an hour long. But I just wanted to make that known that when it comes to this situation, we weren't there. Okay? We weren't there. And it was throwing me that people that knew her weren't really running to her aid. And it made me question, like, did she burn bridges with her family? In some cases when it comes to DV relationships, people do burn bridges with their family where they help them get out of the relationship and then they run back. And so there could be another layer to this where maybe her family didn't jump to her aid because she's always ran back. Maybe the leasing office didn't jump to her aid because she's always running back. That is a scenario that is uh normal in DV cases like this. And if you truly believe that a victim does not have to be perfect or innocent to be a victim, considering these things should not waver your integrity when it comes to what happened to her, when it comes to her eye. Okay. So I can say all of these things and I can consider all of these things and still say that she is a victim when it comes to whatever happened to her eye. Period. Okay. Um, and it just seems like, in a way, we're normalizing victims need to be perfect, or victims need to be innocent when we can't even acknowledge the other scenarios that happened that maybe didn't make them look so innocent or so perfect. And that's okay. But it still does not take away from the fact that she is a victim when it comes to this isolated incident with her eye. Okay. No, he is saying that she came at him with this candle holder. Okay. And I think things escalated because she found out that allegedly, and this is his side of the story, not what she's saying, his side of the story, because I'm trying to fill in the missing pieces because some of her side, some of it did not make sense. And so she met him. No, when she arrived from her trip, he was already at her apartment. Now, I don't know if she invited him or what, but she was there. He is saying, and I'm gonna pull up the video, that she invited him. All right. Let me go ahead, and I don't know how true this is because I'm gonna tell you this. His receipts suck. They're trash. If I'm just keeping it all the way real. 100% trash. Which is why I'm just like, I'm not really buying your side of the story. And the reason is because there are no dates. There are no dates. There are no times. It's just his side of the story, and it's just based off of what he's saying. Okay. And I just, because I don't know these people, I don't know what to think, to be honest. But y'all let me know what you think. Okay. Because I don't know. Um, but he doesn't make any sense to me. So this is him and his evidence when it comes to he allegedly was invited up to her apartment. And she recorded this on his phone and sent it to some girl that he was dealing with, which allegedly is his ex. So she went on this trip and caught wind that he was communicating with the ex. They maybe slept together or whatever the case may be. And she found out about it. I don't know if she found out about it when she got back, but according to her, she found out about it when she was on the trip. But he's saying it was when she got back. So I don't know. I have no idea. That's why I said is he say she say. So she is sending this from his phone. So he's sleeping. And according to him, he was invited in. And he's sleeping. She's recording this on the phone to show proof to the ex that me and him, I don't know if they slept together or what. I don't know what this video, and this is the thing, he's not explaining himself. He's just posting these receipts and he's not really explaining. So this is just allegedly his side of the story. And so um she texted the ex, said, "Mind you, I just got home from my trip just to find out you still a down bad, desperate B." So it seems like they have a history. Whoever Val is, they have a history. She knows about this girl, and she knows that maybe when they are in it or when they're in their this back and forth toxic dynamic, that he tends to run back to this girl. Okay, allegedly. So then the ex responds, "He's the down bad one, babes. I don't know why you always try to come for me when he's clearly the common issue between us." And she goes, "Ha ha ha, girl, you're just always a call away." So I think when they get into it, right, and they have their little fallout, like break up to make up moments, I think he runs to this girl. Maybe they sleep together or whatever the case may be. So riding that damn bike and still not cute. So I guess the girl that he deals with rides a bike. Damn. Did you F or not? And if so, did he wear a condom? I'm not trying to catch anything from your dirty ass, you effing freak. And then the ex responds, "That's not even me, that's another." So I don't know. And like I said, what broke their relationship recently was he took this photo with this random girl on the red carpet. Okay. And ever since that photo, I think she's just kind of been insecure about their relationship. I don't know. So let me go ahead and let me see. And again, this is a 22-year-old and this is a 30-year-old woman. Okay. But he's childish to me. Look at this. So this is him on the red carpet. I don't know what for. I have no idea what this is for. Then then there's this.
Dairy Queen closes in 10 minutes.
So you're tired from a long day, but you're still a boyfriend. I I don't know. I don't get that. Then what else? Then Jason Lee. This is where Jason Lee enters the chat. Okay, so it's coming out that him and Jason Lee had some type of relationship. So the man may not even be straight. He's either bisexual or he's gay. And I don't think this was that long ago. So I I can see him being bi. So I don't know. Some say that he's down low. Some say that he's just gay. He's not bisexual. I don't know. I don't know what determines when a man is gay and when he's bisexual. I don't know. I don't know. But Jason Lee, the reason why I'm bringing him up is he's known for pain. Okay, he's known for pain, and this woman was pain. And then this is why I don't trust him. Let me show you the receipts. Then, not only that, he is on like vacation somewhere right now. Look at this. So who's paying for this trip? You know, and not to mention, right? This is the man that made a GoFundMe account. So who funded this trip? He's on a yacht, an all-white party with his shirt off, by the way, which he the only one with his shirt off. So that's kind of weird. So I don't know what type of lifestyle this man lives. I don't. Um I don't. I see a lot of role reversal here though. I do with the story. In most cases, women are in situations like this and they're dealing with a man that's successful, that has money and stuff like that. And then they're being used and financially abused. Typically, we see this in role reversal. So I don't know. He just seems to be all over the place. Like he is an opportunist. That's what he gives. He gives opportunists for sure. And then he's posting content like this to his TikTok. While people have these wild out, this is recent, by the way. This is not old. This is recent. This is me giving you an update on what he's been up to. So he's on this yacht. He uploaded this thirst trap. I'm just like, are bills due? What is going on? So, and a lot of people are saying that he is narcissistic. And I've been meaning to talk about this. We're in a narcissistic collapse until November the 2nd. Okay. So I don't think this man got a job. I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. Then this is another reason why I don't really believe his side of the story. Because again, he is painting her out to be like this unstable woman, right? And there could be some truth to that. There could be. But again, you're harassing her and blowing up her phone with text messages, pleading with her. And he was saying here, I know, mama, I was just trying to de-escalate. I do not know my strength. So that tells me he put his hands on her. And then he said, we got too comfortable horse playing and talking shit all day, baby. F. Then she goes, you're lying. From the bite and shit, I do not bite people. I do not know what hurts. And then she goes, we were in an argument. We weren't playing. The lack of accountability is making me sick. Lose my number. I cannot forgive you. This I should have stopped a long time ago. So again, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think. But I do think that they put hands on each other for sure though. Let me see. What else? Let me see. And again, I'm pulling that information or I'm pulling that conclusion from the sisters. I'm pulling that conclusion because of the leasing office and their lackadaisical response. And I'm pulling that conclusion because of the live stream that I showed where he's sitting up there saying, you hit me. And I feel like like she hits and then he hits her back. And I think that that's what goes on in their relationship. They hit each other. Then I don't know if you ladies caught it, but the sister said that they have like an Ike and Tina relationship. I don't know. I don't know. And then the sister was accusing her sister of being Ike. But again, that's her point of view from what she saw and what she witnessed. Let me see if I have any other text messages. And then he's saying this should have stopped a long time ago. We were talking shit, saying BS we don't mean. I shouldn't have done it. I take full responsibility. I do not mean to hurt you. I'm just so hurt. I'm thinking this aggressive shit you like. Answer, please. I was thinking about your kid the whole time. If you don't ever speak to me again, that's fine. I just didn't want it to escalate. And again, I don't know. These text messages don't have any dates either, so I don't know. I, I'm referring to the black eye as because it's the obvious. It is the obvious injury that she has, but she also had a concussion. She had a busted lip. Okay. And then he's saying that those are things that she did to herself. So I don't know. But again, that eye, like you can't deny her eye. She didn't punch herself. He can make up all these other excuses about how she got all these other bruises on her body and things like that, but I don't see her punching herself. So again, I don't think people are keeping up with the nuance in which I'm speaking on, meaning, okay, this is his side of the story and it still doesn't make sense. It still doesn't add up how she got the bruise on the eye. Because you could say she stubbed her toe and all of this other shit, but I don't think she punched herself in the face. You get what I'm saying? Okay. She looked battered. Looked like somebody beat her up. Let me see if there's any other text messages. And then here he is apologizing. And again, like if you feel like you did nothing wrong and you were doing something in self defense, why are you apologizing? Why are you so hurt? What are you hurt about? So he's saying, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so hurt, man. And she goes, look at my eye. I'm in so much pain. It's always an accident. You bit my hand the other day and it was an accident. You call me a bee, slut, and choke me, etc. And you always sorry. I'm done with the apologizing, blank, witness this, and I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And so this goes into what the other text message was saying, where he was saying, I know, mama, I was just trying to de escalate. I do not know my strength. So let's move on because I want to show you something else. She did a TED talk a few years ago. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want you to listen to her story. Her story from her first relationship with her oldest daughter is very interesting. And I feel like you can learn a lot. So I'm starting this series on my platform where these story times, it doesn't matter if you feel like they're true or if you feel like they're fake or whatever the case may be. I'm going to start creating a series called Shadow Work Stories. What can you learn? What can you take away from the story that you're listening to? Because there has to be purpose in why I'm covering these stories. And I feel like when it comes to this woman, she has an interesting story. So this is titled Putting You First, Breaking Cycles and Overcoming Limits to Survive. So she talks about how she was a Harvard grad. She went viral for her photo of taking her last exam while she was in labor with her daughter, her oldest daughter. So she has two kids. She has an oldest daughter. I don't know how old her daughter is, and then she has a son, and he seems to be maybe like I don't know. He looks like to be 4, maybe 5 years old. And so she went viral a few years ago. This was 3 years ago where she did the TED Talk, but I think this was probably like maybe 5, maybe 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, where she went viral and she's in labor and she's taking her final exam for Harvard so that she can become a lawyer, but she's in labor. So let's get into that. She talks about this. I think I remember her too. I think I remember her going viral. She was plastered everywhere.
17, I went into labor while taking a final exam. Perhaps with a sprinkle of God's humor, I was taking a family law exam. And I remember using the computer to simultaneously type my essay answer and time my contractions. I was a 23-year-old student at Harvard Law School, and I hadn't spoken to my child's father since the day I told him I was pregnant. I arrived at labor and delivery with 2 requests, or demands. An epidural, of course, and my laptop. Because I was so alone, I cried so hard that the nurses had to give me medication to go to sleep. But I didn't want to make excuses for myself. I finished that exam and had my daughter within the same hour. And this biting the bullet experience was quintessential for not only my upbringing, but my professional career with raising a child and practicing law. Again, I was determined not to let single motherhood deter me from graduating, so learning to function while sleep deprived and nursing a child became my reality. Sometimes I couldn't cope with this reality, and I would often fall into a deep depression. I never looked within. Instead, I fully blamed this depression on the abandonment of my child's father. I placed this failed relationship in the quicksand of an array of disappointing relationships that seemed to shape my bitter outlook on reality. In 2018, I graduated from Harvard Law School with my daughter by my side. This actually went viral. And that same year, I passed the California bar on the first try, and I started working at a firm in LA.
Now, this kind of gave me a different perspective on her mother-daughter relationship that she has with her mother. And the reason is because she got pregnant young and she got pregnant while in law school. And just seeing how her mom is kind of upset with her about her coming out and putting this on social media, it kind of changes the narrative that she already had out here, which she was a Harvard law student that went into labor. She beat the odds. Like, it was actually like a very good story. She'll get into how she really didn't like it because she felt like she was now the poster child for like single women who beat the odds and things like that. But I could kind of understand because in one of her TikTok videos, I think she titled it "How Did We Get Here?" And she always felt like she was never supported, and she always felt like she just didn't get along with the feminine energy in her home. And I think it really starts with her mom. Like, honestly, I don't know what type of relationship that they have, but it doesn't seem like they have the best relationship. And it seems like her mom is really concerned about what things look like, not necessarily what is true. And I think that there's a riffraff between them when it comes to their relationship. And looking into how she's very successful, that her mom cares more about how it looks than what actually happened to her daughter. There is a possibility that that could be a reason or an issue. She doesn't really get along with her mom. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out here.
While everyone continued to celebrate me as the single mother who had finally conquered something, almost a token of a struggle child, my ambition and relentlessness was inspiration to others. I sunk deeper into my quicksand. I actually resented logging online every time and seeing that single mother graduates from Harvard Law School headline. I felt like the world had exposed me. I felt like the media and everyone else proponing this idea of a single mother and the struggle had finally found out my deepest secret. I was unlovable. From there, I sought to find my true happy ending. I wanted to show everyone that I could be loved and that I could find the true mark of success for me. I wanted a real family. And I was fixated on this fairy tale, so much that I continued to enter the revolving door of unhappy relationships despite the growing impact that they had on my physical, mental, and emotional health. I begged these abusers to love me, and I even tried to help them. I went to therapy, I got on medication, I lost weight, I started drinking. I hated waking up in the morning, actually, to take the walk of shame through my own dignity. And eventually, I reached the point where I knew that I had to make a decision. Either I would stop depending on others to love me and take care of me and save me, or I would just lose everything that I'd worked for. So I started by looking in the mirror. In that simple gesture, I finally found the key to healing, and it was revolutionary. If you don't take anything away from this TED Talk,
So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it seems like even though this TED Talk was 3 years ago, she's still in the same cycle, okay, of not loving herself, not putting herself first. Um, and she could still lose it all because now this whole situation, it looks bad. Um, also, it could explain again, maybe she has burned bridges with her family as well. Because if she has a history of being in these toxic relationships, who knows? Like, her family could have tried to help her out the first one, the second one, and now another one. And it's just like maybe they're just tired of stepping in and helping her. That is a real thing. So it seems very complicated, but it seems like she's still in this toxic cycle of dealing with abusers, lovers. Maybe she did look past the obvious red flags because she has a pattern of wanting to help abusers, wanting to love abusers, and things like that. But let's continue.
I want you to take this. Never enter into a relationship without this key. Self-love is a revolutionary act. And every single relationship and experience that we have is an encounter of nothing more than a mirror of you reflecting how you feel about yourself. The only way that I could overcome the toxic relationship that I had immersed my entire self in was to overcome the toxic relationship that I had with myself. These days, it's pretty easy to diagnose negative self-relationships. If the relationship that one has with oneself is negative, we can probably see it by how it's influencing every other area of their life. And this is because, again, every external relationship is just a reflection of the experiences that we have inside. And so we often gossip about it and talk amongst our friends, say, hey, this person, they don't love themselves, or she doesn't love herself, she's in this relationship, and whatever else have you. It's super easy, actually, to point out when others allegedly don't love themselves. But it's difficult to point that same thing out in ourselves. It's even more difficult to face the roots that shape our self-perception. Because our upbringing is the foundation of these relationship experiences, negative self-perception is commonly rooted in childhood trauma.
And I believe that that is her family. The negative self-perception and her mom being so strongly against how this looks. Not that her daughter was punched in the eye, but how it looks. So, and again, she comes from a decently well family as far as like image and last name, right? Her parents seem very successful. She seems very successful. She graduated from Harvard. Um so I think that that's part of the issue with her family as well. So I don't think she had the best relationship with her family, her mother.
Growing up, I don't think I knew what love was. And I don't think I knew what self-love was. I never understood the matrix of being in survival mode until I finally survived it, actually. I was born a statistic, and everyone had betted against my parents. They were teen parents, they had 6 children, and as a family, we overcame 3 evictions, at least 2 house fires, and 1 cross-country move. By my senior year, I'd been to 7 different high schools in the span of 4 years, and I'd missed at least 2 months of school at one point because of a bout of homelessness, whereas we couldn't submit a proof of address to the guidance counselor's office. My body responded to such ongoing instability with crippling anxiety. I felt that my home life was
Now listen, I don't know how true that is. But again, it's about what it looks like. Okay? Because people put on good fronts. It's about what it looks like. And maybe that's the reason why she was on social media portraying this luxe lifestyle. Like you never really know. So I don't know.
constantly chaotic and was in a constant state of chaos with such a full house of people. The explosive arguments were so common that I actually ended up equating violence with conflict resolution skills. I was insecure. I had eczema. I had a bit of acne. I was a little overweight. I didn't want to be seen. My reflection was a constant reminder that I was not my mother's pretty child. I felt like I couldn't even be heard, especially not under the cacophony of my 5 brothers and sisters' voices and personalities, most, or if not all, of whom my parents would tell you was a lot more agreeable than mine. So I disappeared a lot. I disappeared into books. Books made me feel invisible, but alive. Books helped me shape the fairy tale of my life and what I wanted it to be. My understanding of love and relationships was therefore conceived in trauma, but birthed in how negatively I felt about myself in comparison to my siblings and others around me. At 16, I got an academic scholarship to go to St. John's. I packed 1 suitcase and 1 pair of shoes, but I had more baggage on that plane than would have actually been allowed. My first relationship in college was with a guy that I'd met at McDonald's, that one in Times Square and 42nd Street.
I just want to clear this up, okay? I get what you're saying, but when you look at someone that had a concussion and a bruised eye, that's not someone playing the victim. That is someone that was victimized. Now, you could say she's playing the perfect victim, right? But she's not playing the victim. She is a victim. She's just not a perfect victim. Like I need to point that out because that's imperative. And some victims feel like they have to play the perfect victim to be seen as a victim because of judgment. Okay? So she could be watering down some of the things that may have happened that day or not disclosing everything that happened that day to come across as the perfect victim. But to say that she's playing the victim, that's just to me, I don't agree with that. She is a victim, okay? She's just not a perfect victim. So let's continue.
don't ever do that, just for future reference. Never again. He worked there. But I'd been carrying that load of invisibility and ugliness from my childhood on my shoulders for so long, and he actually took that weight off of me. He told me that I was pretty. And long story short, I lost my virginity to the first person who told me I was pretty and made me believe it. He didn't even stay around for that much longer. My next relationship was actually with someone who was already in a relationship. I guess I thought I did not deserve someone fully, so I was willing to beg for the scraps of his love and emotional unavailability. I suppose the next relationship after that was an upgrade because I was the only woman, but the person was so committed to me that he would wake me up strangling me if he found something in my phone that he didn't like me showing attention to anyone else. I equated that violence to passion, and that was love. And that was the first man that I learned to fear. Addiction is dancing to the music, even when it's no longer fun. And I was an addict at that point. I became intoxicated with these abusive partnerships. And when they ended, instead of healing the emotional hangovers, I continued to search for my fix in the drug of my choice, which was the love of men who told me I was beautiful. I actually think I hit rock bottom recently, when I had my second child out of wedlock. I just knew that my son's dad was my final happy ending. My son's 1, by the way. He just turned 1. I love him. He didn't just tell me I was beautiful, but he actually promised me that family that I'd wanted my whole life, one that I'd be seen, heard in, and loved by. This time, single motherhood did not make the headlines, but for me, it wasn't just another failed relationship. This time, for me, it meant that I was actually a failure. The self-loathing overshadowed my entire pregnancy and exacerbated my grief in postpartum. I had graduated from Harvard Law, received business certifications, started companies, published books, submitted publications to international firms and such. I'd even been on the board of a nonprofit super early on, but I could not get the one thing that I'd always wanted. No matter how many ceilings I shattered, how much income I made, no matter what I did, I could not seem to be loved. The only accomplishment that I ever dreamed of since childhood was having a stable family.
So this was the burning question under my last video. And a lot of people were like, she's a Harvard law degree lawyer. How did she end up in this situation? And I feel like this TED Talk really explains how. What was weird was a lot of people felt like because she's a Harvard law degree lawyer, that there's no way she could end up in a dusty relationship like that with a 22-year-old. But she's telling you how she ended up in this cycle. And even though this was 3 years ago and nothing has changed, right? She's still in this cycle, but she's still telling you how she ended up in this cycle, even though this was 3 years ago. Because yes, when you don't do the work on yourself through action, she's verbally acknowledging, she's verbally taking ownership. But when you don't do the work on yourself through action, yes, you can stay in a cycle 3 years, 4 years, and repeat the same lesson over and over and over again. So she's telling you how she ended up in this cycle. And it really comes down to she's successful in all of these other areas, and the one area that she's not successful in is love. And she wants love. But the number one thing that she has not, I guess, realized when it comes to herself is that her loving herself is enough. It can be enough if you let it be enough. Because if the only other option is to keep bumping into these abusers or these men that don't treat you well, then loving yourself should be enough. It's not to make it seem like you don't like having someone else love you is not something that you're worthy of. It's just saying if you have a consistent pattern of the same abusive partner, then loving yourself should be enough. So that means you wouldn't stay. You would leave when you see the first red flag. You wouldn't stay in a relationship. You wouldn't have kids in the relationship. You would move on because loving yourself is enough, more than putting up with someone that is toxic, abusive, predatory, manipulative, mean. So I believe that that's how she ended up in this situation.
And that was something that I just couldn't seem to attain. This was at my lowest point, I think. Here's when I realized that I had to make the decision to come up for air, and I only had two choices. I could either choose to believe that I was a failure and then therefore become one, or I could take accountability for my healing. And for purposes of saving my children from this, I decided that I would heal. I mustered up the courage to finally look in the mirror at my reflection, and I'd realized why I'd prolonged it for so long. I could barely recognize myself under the disguise of materialism and under the disguise of the weight that I held on my shoulders. I decided from there to go forward and find myself and resolve my childhood traumas. Every time that, again, we're in a relationship, the experiences from the relationship shape our identity because they reflect back to us who we believe that we are. When I decided to take on the journey of healing, that's when I decided to look at myself and love myself in a revolutionary way so that every time I was in another relationship, it reflected back to me the love that I'd had for myself. I want you all to take this with you. This not only key that the revolution to self-love is necessary for any successful relationship. I want you all to take this. Understand that when you love yourself, you shape the experiences in an interaction that everyone else has with you. And that's how you can change the world.
So I wanted to share that with you all because I felt like that was important to share. Um, I the when it comes to situations like this, right? As a content creator myself, I couldn't share me going through what I was going through with my mom because I just couldn't show up like that online. So I do question people who are going through something so serious and how they're able to pick up the camera and record. And I understand that everyone, they deal with things differently. But there's a pattern with her where she comes out on social media. She just made a TikTok video where she talks about how did I get here? She talks about healing. She talks about accountability. She talks about how she got here. She knows how she got here. But still, like, the real work always comes down to change behavior. You can say all you want that you want to change this, and you recognize that you need to do this differently, and you recognize that you need to love yourself more, but if you're not putting anything into work, then you're just talking. Like that's it. And a lot of people are buying into what she's saying. I'm pretty sure 3 years ago, people were buying into what she was saying on TED Talk. So all I'm going to say is when it comes to content creators, take what they're saying and what they're doing with a grain of salt. They're human. They're not perfect. When you practice what you preach, it takes discipline and it takes self-control. And if you know how hard it is to discipline yourself, then understand that it's hard for the next person as well. So if you find them out here not practicing what they preach, I'm not going to say beat them down because they're not practicing what they preach. If anything, you should have compassion with the fact that maybe they fell back into old habits. Maybe they fell back into an old addictive pattern. It happens. It happens. Sometimes I feel like we put content creators on pedestals and we expect for them to just be perfect. But I'm like, that's not real. That's not real life. Because if you know you struggle with self control and you know you struggle with self discipline, why wouldn't we struggle with that? Why wouldn't we have a constant struggle with that? That's what it means to be real. However, what I will say is when you're a content creator and you put this perfect image out here, understand that you're setting yourself up with that. Because if you put this perfect image out here, people are going to buy into that and they're going to think that your life is perfect and you handle everything perfectly. And then that sets you up to later be bashed or to be talked about or to be gossiped about. So I feel like when it comes to this situation, this is just an overall learning experience. Um, for whatever reason, narcissists are being exposed. It's like the narcissistic collapse is what they're calling it. And we're starting to see narcissists get exposed. I believe that Rowan, he just got exposed. She exposed him for being abusive. It is what it is. She may not be innocent in the relationship, but I do believe that she was abused by this man. And he needs to be held accountable for that. I don't know why or how he is overseas traveling on a yacht at a white party. Like, that's insane. And then you have people that are donating to his GoFundMe. It makes no freaking sense. I also did side eye her as well for her to put her Discord and her price $8.99. And I'm just like, why is it that when women go through something like this, they're not in a place where they have really taken a step back, reflected, and healed before they start offering services to people? I don't get that. I don't get that. So just be careful with the content and the people that you're just blindly trusting on social media. I think that when it comes to these people that come out on social media and they're sharing their story, that you should be open to listening to all sides, but at the same time, keep your integrity and use your discernment. Okay. So I can entertain his side of the story, but at the end of the day, his side of the story just does not make any sense to me. How did her eye get like that? How did she get a concussion? I don't believe that this woman punched herself. I don't. I don't believe this woman gave herself a concussion. I don't. I don't. And one other thing too that I want to talk about before I leave, the wounded feminines. Okay? If you're against something, then be against something. But when you're biased or you switch up because of the gender, okay, people are not going to take you serious. So you need to be consistent. And it's easier for you to be consistent when you heal your wounded feminine energy. It's harder to be consistent when you have not healed your wounded feminine energy. So again, there are some red flags when it comes to her. I'm not going to lie. Dating a 22-year-old as a 31-year-old woman and pain, that's a red flag. We would say that that was a red flag if it was a man. Also, to have a history of being the aggressor and putting your hands on a man, that is also a red flag. That is a red flag. If it was a man, we would be throwing the red flag like, well, in his past relationship, he put hands on his ex and he put his hands on his baby mom. We would be livid. So be consistent. And being consistent would be to not be extreme, right? So by not being extreme, when it comes to the isolated incident, she is a victim. All right. Extreme would be we're not going to look at her past at all. Extreme would be we're not going to take into account that she's put her hands on men in her past. Extreme would be we're not going to consider the fact that he's vocalizing she's put her hands on me. We're not. We're just going to be extreme and bypass all of that and just focus on the fact that her eye is bruised. And it's like, listen, you can acknowledge all of these things and still stand in integrity and consistency when it comes to what you believe in and say she is a victim when it comes to that incident. That day that her eye got like that. The day that she ended up going to the emergency room and they diagnosed her with a concussion. She was treated for a concussion. Period. It's okay. You don't have to be extreme and still hold true to what you believe happened, which is I believe that this woman is a victim when it comes to this isolated incident. She's just not a perfect victim, like most of us. So that's all I really wanted to say. Let me know what you think. What do you think that you can learn and take away from this situation? Uh, it does not seem like she practices what she preaches. But again, I'm not here to judge her for that because, again, it takes discipline. It takes self control, y'all. It does. It takes discipline and self control to not fall back into old habits, into old ways. And it seems like she's addicted to, like, love and relationships or the idea of such. And so she keeps finding herself in these relationships with men that are abusive or toxic. And again, I have said this, and this is another thing that's hard to swallow, that if you are a woman and you have a pattern of being in toxic relationships, you tend to pick up really bad habits. You tend to bring the worst out of yourself, not the best out of yourself. Healthy relationships bring out the best. Toxic relationships bring out the worst. So if you have a history or a pattern of being in a toxic relationship, you have to understand that you're not at your best, and that is okay. And you're not at your best, and you're still a victim when it comes to this incident of this woman having a bruised eye, a concussion, a busted lip, a just battered. Okay, so please acknowledge all of these things because all of these things can be shadow work for yourself. It can be. Her story can be shadow work if you choose to look at it that way. So I'm going to be getting into that. I have not made my shadow work video. I mean, I kind of somewhat talked about it on my other page. I did a makeup routine talking about shadow work and what it really means to do shadow work. But I see I need to talk about that more because, again, if I'm going to cover these stories, the purpose is for you to take away what you feel like you can learn from it, which this woman seems to be addicted to love and relationships or the idea of love and relationships. So she's finding herself in these toxic cycles and she's trying to break the cycle. And she's struggling to do that because it takes self-control and it takes discipline. So what can you take away from this when it comes to your own life and apply that to the shadow work? It could be a journal entry or it could just be a self-reflective moment. It's all up to you and what you choose to do with this story. That's all that I have regarding this video. Is there anyone that wants to come up and add to what was discussed? Because I have not taken any calls as of lately. Let me know. Because your girl is losing her voice here. Let me see. Let me go here, see if I have any other things that are on here. I think he's weird though. I'm not gonna lie. Something off about this man. Oh, let me go ahead and play this. I think I forgot to play this.
Whole time he might have been gay. Whole time Ronan might have been gay. I just saw a video of Ronan and Jason Lee. Yes, the Jason Lee. And Jason tried to kiss him and he said, but he went mad. Which is weird. Because if I am not gay and my homeboy try to bust a fast one on me, I'm going to be like, nigga, the fuck you doing? But he didn't do that. His eyes didn't come off the camera at all, which means he wasn't surprised by it, which means that it has happened before, likely, allegedly. So for those of you who don't know who Ronan is that has been hitting on that young lady Briana, that beautiful, educated young lady. He's been beating on that girl. Because this whole time he might have been, hey, sir, go live your truth and leave that woman alone. Allegedly. Because you know, ain't no lawsuits over here.
Nothing beats it.
Crazy. Okay. So then this is another one. Let me see. Is this the last one? Yeah.
Love X Briana, this video is for you. So I have been keeping up with Love X Briana, and she's been posting ever since she got back home from her trip. And her boyfriend Ronan, he gave her a black eye, had her fighting for her life, crying, begging, screaming for her life inside of her apartments because of this situation. If you have not seen or heard about Love X Briana, go to her page and watch her video. She have a whole series talking about it. She still have a black eye right now. She's recovering. Your eye is healing up very nicely. Keep on doing your drops. I'm watching her video from 4 days ago right now, but she's healing up pretty well, so she's gonna be fine. Her eye is super red, and he did a number on her. So as I'm keeping up with the story, I have a lot to say that I can't say, but I'm watching how we got here. And at first she started off, I'm gonna talk to you, Briana. You started off talking about how you're taking accountability and you're trying to see things from all sides and all angles. And I like that you're really self-reflecting on how you ended up in this situation, but I can't help but see it from a different angle that maybe you're not seeing it on. So I'm just gonna speak on that angle.
Now, before she gets into this, okay, if you are not trying to be triggered, if you don't want to talk about accountability, if you don't want to talk about any of that, please go ahead and check out. I'll catch you in the next one. I'll catch you in the next one. Where are my light keepers at? Where are my light keepers? Can y'all put the light emoji in the chat? I need my light keepers to come to the front because this year for us has been about closing old cycles. If you've been seeing the angel number 1010, this year has been about completion, closing out past cycles, old cycles. Please come to the front. Okay? Your breakthrough is here. Okay? You're already in your breakthrough. And this year has been testimonial. You have gone through a lot of tests, a lot of challenges, a lot of upheaval moments. And you are in your biggest test to end out this cycle so that you can move on and elevate to a higher level. So if you've been seeing angel number 1010, then this will be for you. And yesterday I got another test, distractions. I'm trying to get my life back on track. And then I got people hitting me up. Oh, you want to go here? You want to take shots? I haven't been drinking. I'm not drinking. So, and here in Houston, they love to drink. Texans drink. I don't know what it is about Texans, but they drink. So I've been just really trying to like focus on myself and like really like buckle down. And it's been hard. And then when I'm finally finding my rhythm to do it, then there's somebody hit me up. My neighbors yesterday were tapping on my window, like, come down, like, come take shots with us. And I'm like, I was juicing, like literally. I'm like, okay, I need to juice, like getting my juicing done. So listen, you are being tested. Do not be distracted. Okay. Do not get distracted. Don't. Do not get distracted. Just know it's a test. And if you're trying to close out this cycle, everything that you've learned, put it to use. That is what this year is about. Finish it out. Finish out this cycle strong so you can close it out. Okay. So let's continue.
You very successful, doing very well. You're with your first child's father. Y'all are in this relationship, loses its spark. You're not happy with the relationship. You're just become a mom. You're being a mom. Okay, I get it. I'm a mom. I'm a single mom, actually. So I actually do get, you just fell into motherhood. So now you meet this guy. You break up with your baby daddy. You get with this guy. He brings the fun out of you. He brings the spark back. Now you're super happy. You're traveling around, just tapping into that artistic side that you didn't really focus on. You focused on the law side of your studies. But now you're getting into your artsy side. You're having fun. You're living life, having a good time. You're not even spending that much money. But you are. At some point, you are spending money on this man. So much so to where you say, when you start to get more popular and things, he starts to wonder, whoa, is she going to leave me? Is she going to stop doing what she's doing for me? Pin it. Pin that moment right there when you talked about him saying his abandonment issues. You gave him that sense of security in probably more than one way, but in a way, and you spoke on, you pay for this, you usually pay for this, you usually pay for that, you always pay for this, even with your sisters. I gave her my little bag, I got a new one.
And to me, that sounds like people pleasing or trying to win somebody over so that they love you. Okay. And it seems like she struggles with that. Like she struggles with understanding that she is worthy of love and that she doesn't have to foot the bill to be loved, or she doesn't have to overgive to be loved. Like she is worthy of being loved because of who she is. Okay. But she has a bad habit of overgiving, overextending, even if it's just her sisters. And it seems like her sisters are just like not grateful. And then even this guy, Rowan, not grateful. Okay. And so she's in this cycle where people are taking advantage of her, including her sisters. So let's continue. So yeah, she's trying to buy her love from people to show them that she's worthy of love. Like you have to know you're worthy of love. You have to know. Work on yourself and get to that level of confidence so that you can know that you are worthy of love because of who you are, not because of what you do for people or how you show up for people.
So my thing is, if you're going to stand. If you want to trick. If you want to pay the bills and take care of things, then take care of them. But when you not paying it no more and these folks are having temper tantrums, from your sisters to him having temper tantrums, it's because you're doing too much to begin with. So as you're self-reflecting, notice how much you did and maybe you should not have done. Why are you giving so much? Why are you overgiving? If you're so beautiful, if you're so successful, if you have it all together, why do you feel the need to open up your pockets? Yes, you have it, but it's yours. Give it to people that maybe worked for it or did something to earn it, other than just tricking because you feel like it. But then when you don't feel like it no more, now you have your little posse. They're all in a tissy fit. They're in a tissy fit. Should he have put his hands on you? Absolutely not. But when you train up somebody and you always treat somebody and you always do for somebody, then that time when you don't act crazy. Like you don't know why they're acting like this. Even with your sisters, I don't know why they're responding like this. Because you did not pay. You have to understand that part if you're reflecting. That's why they're acting like that, because you always usually do. And this time you said no, which is good. You say no. Keep saying no. I want you to say no. I want you to save your money.
But I also want to point out that when she said no, did you see how she got the reactions? Girl, did you see the reaction she got? She fell out with both of her sisters. Then she has this black eye when she gets back from her trip. She said no one time. She was giving, 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 and then she said no that one time. And it's been hell ever since. Pay attention to that as well. That's very crucial. That is very important.
Your money into yourself. I saw the video with you and your son. Pour into your son. He was talking to you. He said something over and over and over again. I'm a teacher, so I understood what he said the first time. It took you a minute to understand what your son had said. Spend more time talking to him. Spend more time being with him. Focus on him. Focus on y'all bond. I know you want to separate yourself from the motherhood and be you, but still, pour into that. Continue to pour into that. Back to Ronan. He has given you lots of red flags, but what he did give you, that spark that he gave you, you really, really liked it. Find you somebody else with a spark. There are going to be lots of guys out there that can give you an exciting feeling. Get somebody that's more so on your level. Y'all are not on the same level, and you just threw that out the window. It is very hard to be in a relationship with somebody that is not on the same level with you, as you. You're not equally yoked. So that's the first thing. You're not equally yoked with him. Y'all are on two different levels. You got to find you somebody that's on your same level. Know your worth. Know your value. Because right now, it's like you're just accepting. The videos I saw with y'all arguing back and forth, the argument shouldn't even continued. I can't believe that you, being a lawyer, would even go back and forth in that way with a person, with a man. Accountability. Let's take some accountability. Go back and listen to the conversations from both sides, the responses. You're a lawyer. You're well educated. Why are you entertaining that? Why is that being entertained? Don't go into your next relationship entertaining those things. If you don't have no homegirls.
Yeah, Nicole, yes. Yes. Put the lights in the chat. Nope. Learn to be your own spark and flame. Yes. Because that spark will never go out. It may weaken. When you're doing your candle work, sometimes you have a weak flame and sometimes you have a strong flame. Your flame may weaken at times, but it will never go out. When you are your own flame, when you are your own spark. I love that. Yes.
Friends to talk about, your relationship stuff with. I can see it just from the videos. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm crazy, but this is my take. Since you're putting it out there, you have to be aware of that side of things too. Like, the role that you're playing is like, you're just oblivious to the fact that you have spoiled all these folks financially, and then now you said on this trip no, and you're ignoring the fact that they're catching a fit. They're having a tantrum. That's what they're doing. So acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you did switch up, which you have the right to, but acknowledge that, own that you did put you first. Now you're putting you first. Own that part. That's what's going to make love Briana, love Briana, love Briana. Own that. Instead of just like, oh, well, I paid for me, and I don't know why they're just mad about it. Like, no, I'm paying for my stuff now. I'm taking care of my stuff now. I'm on my, only me. It's only, if that's what you want it to be, then stand on it. That's how I feel about that.
I know she keeps bringing up that, she's a lawyer, she's this and she's that. But listen, that doesn't take away from the emotional battles that you do go through. And I was just having this conversation last night that a lot of people struggle in life, not because they're not successful, not because they don't have money, but people don't pay attention to the emotional baggage that comes with life, that comes with experiences, whether good or bad. Like, we don't want to acknowledge that. You could be very successful. You could have millions of dollars, trillions of dollars, but you still deal with emotional just baggage that comes with living life. So that doesn't take away from how successful you are, how smart you are, how intelligent you are. It's just it has an impact on your experience on life. Like it does. It impacts you. It can impact you negatively. It can impact you in a way to where you're struggling with anxiety, depression, disappointment, anxiousness, irritability, moodiness. So it's like these things have an effect on you on a daily basis. So you need to acknowledge that. It does not take away from how smart you are. It doesn't take away from how successful you are. It doesn't take away from your job title, your certifications, or anything like that. But you got to understand when it comes with living life and living and experience life, it comes with emotional baggage, good or bad. It just does. So always keep that in mind.
And then with Ronan,
Ooh,
it's like I think it's something about it that you do like. I don't know what it is. I don't know deep enough into y'all's relationship, but it's something about the dynamic that you do like. And I said the freedom, the fun part, but it's something else. And you need to figure out what that is. I feel like that's probably the part that comes from like a trauma, something from your childhood, but that's what got you attached to him, that bond. And it's a little bit deeper than the fun part, but don't go into your next relationship taking these same approaches to people and situations. You never spoke on any of these things. You're just, oh, he's jealous of me. He got jealous of me. I don't know if he got jealous of you. I think that you found your light. You start walking in your light. You're walking in yourself. People are acknowledging it. I don't know if you fully know how to take that. Own it. Own your light. You can be literally going straight to the top with this whole platform. Gorgeous.
because her ownership of her light, if she was truly in ownership of her light, instead of making it about him, oh, he made me blossom. If she was in ownership of her own light by not centering this man and giving him the credit for the light that you carry, that he's jealous of, and that other people were recognizing, then you don't know who you are, which is how you ended up connected to this man that is now jealous of your light. He didn't create that light. That light was already there. That's it. That's it. That's it. That light was already there. So I don't know. It's maybe something she's not seeing within herself. And a lot of times I see that with people all the time. They don't see how great they are. They don't see how amazing they are, how talented they are, how worthy of love they actually are. But then they find themselves in these self sabotaging experiences with people, places, or things because they're not recognizing who they are.
Y'all has been reposting y'all look similar. Y'all need to do some content together. I think she could interview. Y'all could talk. I don't know. Do a little tea time together. I don't know. I'm just rambling. But anyways, own your channel yourself. You said you did it as a couple. It was a couples thing. You don't need to do the couples thing. You are the
What a lot of people don't understand, and I think that the common denominator when it comes to successful women like this that end up in these toxic relationships with men, they're emotionally on the same level. So when it comes to their physical life, they look a mess on paper, but emotionally, something you can't put on paper. Emotionally, they're connected. Emotionally, they're on the same level. Because I picked it up in the live stream where they were arguing, they're on the same level. Because if they weren't on the same level emotionally, she would have never went back and forth with that man. Okay. And it's something that I recognized in myself. I refuse to argue with people. I'm not emotionally on that level of verbally exchanging an argument. I'm not. I'm not. Why? Because when you're arguing, nothing truly is fixed. Nothing, there's no solution with a verbal argument exchange. Nothing. There's no reasoning. Hell, 9 times out of 10, the other person or yourself, you're not really taking in what the other person is saying. You're not. But when you're not emotionally on that level anymore, because you're on this level, right? You refuse to argue with people. Like you're just not. You're gonna walk off. You're gonna walk away. Hey, I see where this is going, and we should just have this conversation at a different time. But if you're emotionally on the same level, right, you're gonna get into it and you're gonna argue back. A person that is not on the same level emotionally would never do that. They're gonna walk away. because they know nothing is going to be solved, nothing is going to be resolved right now in this moment. So I'm going to walk away. And that automatically sets the tone that I'm above this. I am. I'm above this. This is beneath me. I'm not going to go back and forth with you because it doesn't solve anything. But if you're emotionally on the same level, your ego is triggered. So you feel like you have something to prove. 9 times out of 10, you feel like you need to be heard, right? Especially if you have childhood trauma where you felt like you weren't heard, you weren't seen. So you're going to entertain that. You're going to entertain that verbal argument. But when you work on yourself and you heal that childhood wound where you didn't feel heard, you didn't feel seen, you're no longer struggling with that. This is not going to trigger you to get in this back and forth. You're now on this level where you have healed beyond that level, right? So now you're going to walk away and you'll say, hey, I'll talk to you when you calm down. We can have this discussion, we can have this conversation and try to work out things when we're both just in a calmer state, or we're both in a place where we can really hear each other. That's how you're going to communicate. You're not going to do it in this moment. So I believe they connected emotionally, and that requires a woman to level up. So she is leveled up when it comes to the physical things, right, in life, like when it comes to her success and her certifications and her lifestyle and everything like that, even her career. But emotionally is where she lacks. And I believe that's how she ended up attracting this 22-year-old toxic, abusive, potentially down low narc man. Okay. That's how she did it.
Star, you are a star. Continue to be a star. Continue to flourish. Continue to succeed. But have accountability. Take accountability and own being the boss that you are. You don't have to dim your light to stand in a room with other people. Like, shine and live and have fun and explore. Now you know a taste of what it's like to go off and do things. Go off and do things limitlessly. It doesn't just have to be with him or a guy or friends or your family. All you need is you at the end of the day. Stay prayed up, connect with God, stay connected to him. You keep on going, just keep on going. But I had to say something because I've been watching your content. I'm watching your video right now, and I just had to say something about it.
So yeah, I feel like, healing is a lifelong investment. Healing is, um if you master healing, then you can master your life. I always say that because it's true. Okay, sometimes you slip back, sometimes you fall off. I even said in the beginning of this live, I'm restarting for the 6th time this year to get my life really back on track and to stay consistent. It happens. It happens. And when you have compassion for yourself when it comes to your shortcomings, you have compassion for others when it comes to their shortcomings. Okay? So, listen, it's okay to restart over again. Maybe she was doing well and then she slipped up and she ended up in this toxic relationship. Who knows? Maybe when she came out of that last relationship, she got right into this relationship and she never took time out to really break that toxic cycle that she was in from the previous relationship with her child's father. Who knows? Okay. That's all I really wanted to say. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions down below in the comment section. Like I said, if you want to be a member, please subscribe. The option is on my channel. I don't even know where it is. I'm going to have to put a link in the description box because I will be creating membership only lives, membership only content to where if you cannot comment unless you're a member, okay? I have a $1.99 option for Patreon members only, okay? That is just an added benefit if you want to be seen and recognized as a member on this channel. And then when it comes to just being a YouTube member, is $4.99. You will get access to call-ins if you're wanting to call in, ask questions, get advice, or give your opinion or your thoughts. I'm very open to that. So you'll get first call. It would be like first come, first serve if you're a member. And yeah, so I plan to be more consistent now that I feel like I can be. And I hope to see you in my next one. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will catch you in my next one. Thank you for watching.